Good day, lords and ladies, and welcome back to Medieval Knights, the channel that brings you the best in daily Let's Plays, tips and trick videos, and streams. I am TJ West, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit those like buttons and subscribe to follow my channel. Today, on our What the Flax, we're going to be talking about storages, so that's resource storage and food storage. Now first, we're going to dive into the resource storage, and I'm just going to come in here and just kind of give you a short layout of it. Now, it will kind of be an in-depth overview, but there isn't much to do with the resource storage, other than the log crib. As you can see here, I have a stack of 10 logs kind of just laying in here. Now, if I wanted to split those up, I could, but I like to stack them here in stacks of 10, because you can drop a stack of 10 and drop another stack and another stack, and then just keep stacking them up, and they're not going to go anywhere. They don't despawn as of right now, so you can basically stack them there indefinitely and just kind of hold them there. And then as your loggers put more into your resource storage to keep this number over down here low, you can just keep stacking them up over there. And now there are a couple other areas that you could stack things up. Like you could probably put another section of those over here, and this wall is going to stop it from rolling out, and then just stack them up from there. You could also use this over here as kind of like a hay bin if you wanted to, and just stack up a whole bunch of hay so that way it's not taking up space in your chest or flax or anything like that. Okay, so with the chest, everything is going to be funneled through it. So if you have a logger working at your woodcutting hut, he's going to be dropping every resource into the resource storage. So if you have him gathering logs and sticks, those two are going to go directly into the resource storage. Now if he is crafting firewood or planks, he's going to be pulling logs from the resource storage to use at the woodcutting hut to craft. He doesn't actually physically do it, he just kind of stands at his woodcutting hut for a while. And then you'll see planks are starting to be produced in your resource storage. That's where he'll drop the finished products. So he's going to pull the logs from the resource storage, craft them, and then put them back in here, and it's kind of all done automatically. There aren't really animations for it as of right now. So as you can see, I have 222 firewood. I have 7 logs, so that means he's basically doing his job. He's taking the logs that he's harvesting and crafting them into firewood also. Now the hunting lodge actually feeds both storages. So there's 2 storages, food storage and resource storage. And the reason the hunting lodge feeds both of those is because if we go in the management section here, and we go down to the hunting lodge here, and we click F, and then we click this button here, it shows us what all the hunting lodge actually brings in, what you can spend the power on. Okay, so the meat goes to the food storage, but the leather and the fur, the feather, all that goes to the resource storage. The rest of it goes to the food storage. So it kind of feeds both storages, in a sense. So we're going to go back to the resource storage. Now by saying that, and by mentioning the bins, you can also use it to drop fur in it if you think that fur is kind of getting a little heavy there and you want to eliminate some of that weight, then you can drop some of that as well, or leather. Really pretty much anything you want in stacks of whatever as far as the resource storage goes. Now there is a, I'm going to go ahead and sleep just so it's a little bit easier on this video to see. I gotta wait 12 seconds basically in real time. So with the resource storage, everything is funneled through it. So if you have a sewing hut, the flax will need to be ground down in the barn, and then the seeds and all that are going to be brought back to the resource storage, and you can come here and grab them and sell them, or you can go check your barn and see if it's actually overflowing over there and if they're keeping the seeds in the barn. And then after that, your sewing hut or your smithy here, because I have some iron in my resource storage, so my smith will actually come here, grab the iron and the logs or the sticks, whatever tool I have him making, he's going to grab the resources from it and then craft what I need, and then those will go right back into the resource storage. So if I have him crafting an iron hammer, by the time he's done crafting that one iron hammer, he'll bring it over to the resource storage and put it in there. So it's kind of odd tools being put in the resource storage, but that's just how it works right now. So from there, we're going to move on to the food storage. Now, I don't have a tavern here to kind of show you the whole... Apparently, I don't have one on this save file yet. That'll have to be something that I work on in the future. But just to kind of highlight this food storage here, I did want to make it daytime so that way it's easier to see inside. So the food storage will store basically raw food and cooked food. We're gonna head back now. Because I have raw food and cooked food in it, I can kind of show you what I mean. So here we have cabbage and meat. We also have bolete mushrooms, but you really have to look down here. If it has any chance of poisoning, like the raw meat here has 20 chance to poison, your villagers will not see that as consumable food. So they will not eat it. So if I ran out of meat with gravy, potage, and I ran out of the mushroom there, that mushroom there, and that mushroom there, and then ran out of berries and cabbage, they won't eat the meat. They'll starve, or they'll leave my village. So basically they would have to clear out my whole inventory here, my whole food storage here, and just be down to the meat, and then they just won't eat it because it has a chance to poison them. But what you can do is, if it gets down to a condition of almost rotten, where the condition here is 12%, or say the condition of your cooked meat, your roasted meat is down to 12%, roasted meat and onion is actually meat with gravy. That's what it means. That's what it equals. You can cook the two in a cauldron inside your house or at the tavern, and it's going to make meat with gravy. Now, if your roasted meat was down to 12%, you could craft that with an onion that was down to 12%, and it's going to make 100% conditioned meat with gravy. That doesn't necessarily matter. It's actually a way you can kind of extend the life of your food if you need to. So it's kind of nice to have that in there. That can't really be taken out just because as soon as you cook the food, you kind of kill all the bacteria that's inside of it, so it's kind of fresh anyway. So at any rate, the raw meat's going to come here. The cabbage you can eat. It is grown in your garden, and you can mix the cabbage with the raw meat to make the potage. Now, before you can do any of that, you do have to purchase the schemes in the technology scheme here, the technology tab, and then you go into the crafting one, which is the hammer and anvil, and then you come down to tavern. Now, these are the first set. There is some sewing ones that you can get for the sewing hut when you get it, the workshop if you have one placed. Not many people do. So the tavern here is where you're looking for your food. Okay. Now, with the food storage, like I said, your villagers may drop raw meat in here, but they won't eat it. So at the same time, your tavern is probably going to be pretty slow producing, so I wouldn't count on it running out any raw materials anytime soon, but it will produce it fast enough that your people will continue to be fed. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, although I do like to cook the food and sell it, so I always end up with surplus cooked food in my food storage anyway. But that's based on the player. You can have fun with that one. Most players I know end up having a food storage that is overflowing with food. They don't know what to do with it, and so they mostly just sell it for money. So at any rate, they will only pull food from the food storage, but if the food storage is full, it will overflow into their production areas. So if you have a tavern and the food storage is full, the tavern may be putting cooked food in the chest inside the tavern. Like I said, I don't have one placed on this save file. I don't know if I have a save file with one placed, so that's why I kind of went with this one. And the chest inside the tavern, the overflowed cooked goods will go into the tavern because they'll take the raw resources from the food storage, they'll cook it in the tavern, and then when they go to bring it back to the food storage, it's over full, so they'll just put it in the tavern where they work at. Now, if the food storage is full, your barn will also take like cabbages and onions and carrots and just the finished product, and it'll also put it inside of its chest. So here we have cabbage seed. That's just something I put in there because that's where I feel like it needs to be stored. And so that's the basic overview of the resources. Anytime you have any issues with it, just think, is my resource storage full? If yes, see if you can do something to try to eliminate some of it. Not necessarily resource, but any storage. Is it full? And can I reduce some of the weight inside of it? So can I take some logs out and toss them into the log crypt? Can I take some rocks out and toss them over here, some stones? Do I need to move my limestone over to a corner here? Do I need to take some straw out and stack it up over here? Just those little things will help to eliminate resource storage overflow. And then obviously cooking and selling food will help your gold income, as well as keep your food storage from becoming overly full as well. So, this has been another episode of What the Flax, brought to you by Medieval Knights. I would like to thank you all for joining me. Again, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, hit those like and subscribe buttons and ring that bell to be notified of new uploads. I am TJ West, thanks again, and let's keep it medieval, people.